Well, there are lots of barriers. I mean, because clearly, if you want to try and grow by anything between 8 and 22% a year, this is by the standards of any developed economy, extremely high sectoral growth rate. So this is a big challenge. Um, Let me start. Clearly, we need to have the engagement of policymakers all the way through, national as well as European level, understanding the potential of the sector and pushing it and helping to clear the way. On finance, I think that the sector needs to be properly integrated into the emissions trading scheme, so that we can see real benefits from the decarbonisation that it offers, which is, when we say decarbonisation, it is dealing with methane, which is a far more powerful greenhouse gas than CO2. So, at 100 years, it's about more than 28 times as powerful as CO2 as a greenhouse gas. So, this is a really big potential quick win if we can use the sector to tackle methane. We can actually help really bend the curve on climate change, and that's really important. But policymakers, then, finance, there's the emissions trading scheme would be really helpful, right the way across UK and obviously the EU. And that also opens up the possibility that we could then go carbon negative, because it is, if you're getting a reward for simply producing gas without extra emissions other than the normal biogenic, and then you go to capture CO2, capture methane, then you can actually go carbon negative in the production. And a lot of plants are experimenting and doing that now. We have one in the UK which is signed up to sequester carbon in some of the old gas fields in the North Sea off the east coast. And so this is a very exciting development. Planning is always a big problem. The planning system is too slow, and when somebody comes with a proposal to build a biogas plant somewhere and the local authority has never had to deal with it before, they often try and reinvent the wheel by teaching, learning about how to do it all over again. So we need a much clearer steer from central government about how to permit plans for biogas, so that we don't have to go over and over again explaining the absolute basics in different local authorities. We need to have permitting speeded up. The Environment Agency in the UK, for example, is far too slow. We've had plants held up by more than 6 months simply because they don't have the staff adequately in place to deal with permitting. Grid connections are often too slow. Fortunately, we join with all our other renewable colleagues in saying that the electricity grid connections in far too many places all the way across the world are far too slow, because the grids are not investing enough to take in the output from renewables. But also there are even slow grid connections on the gas grid side where that's already there. So that needs to be speeded up as well. So I'm afraid it's a very long list, but if we are going to really maximize the potential of this sector and get us growing at the sort of growth rates that the IEA is projecting for the sector worldwide, then we've got to think much more seriously about how to get rid of some of these really irritating nitty-gritty barriers, which frankly add to management cost, add to time, and it is frustrating and unnecessary in many, many cases.